Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
African Social Media Influencer Summit has just been conducted in the beautiful city of Addis Ababa. The summit was kicked off yesterday with influencers' visit of so many iconic places in the beautiful city of Addis Ababa, such as Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Sport Park, Arada Park, and many other iconic places in the diplomatic capital of the continent, Addis Ababa. So today the summit has continued, and the summit this morning was kicked off with the opening speech of organizers. As we know, the African Social Media Influencer Summit, Asmis 2026, was organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA Tech Enterprise. Both organizations are Pan-African organizations aspiring to be the voice of Africa. And the manager of AGA Tech Enterprise, Gameda Olana, and CEO of Pulse of Africa, Saifa Derve, made powerful and insightful speech this morning, and we have been discussing on their speech, and we have been making some sort of analysis on their speech. And following their speech was a panel discussion held, and that panel discussion really focused on artificial intelligence and content creation. We'll continue this discussion later, and now let us take our audience to Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, where the second panel discussion is going to be conducted.
We begin, I want to implore all of you guys to do something very, very important right now. I need everybody to get on their phones, go on YouTube and subscribe to the POA English channel and the POA Arabic channel. Done? Done? Say A if it's done. This next panel is about a powerful idea, branding Africa. Who tells Africa's story and how is it told? There is a saying in Amharic I love very much. Loosely translated, it means if I don't talk about myself, if I don't big myself up, then who will? And I feel like as Africans, that's what we should be doing, telling our own stories. And Africa is truly the greatest continent in the world, and it's about time we start acting like it, yeah? Now, from travel creators to tourism leaders to global perception, this conversation is about shaping how the world sees Africa. And our first panelist is a Ghanaian YouTuber, travel vlogger, and a digital media influencer known for promoting positive African stories through his platform. Trained as an aeronautical engineer, he has become one of Africa's most influential content creators, using storytelling to showcase culture, innovation, and success across the continent. A leading travel creator shaping African narratives. Please, a warm welcome to Wadomaya. A warmer welcome. Thank you. Our next panelist is an Ethiopian tourism professional. He is a professional cultural advocate who has worked to promote Ethiopia's tourism sector. heritage and travel experiences. His work focuses on showcasing the country's historical sites, cultural diversity, and growing potential as a destination for local and international travelers. He is a representative of the Ministry of Tourism. Please welcome to the stage Tedros Derebo. Thank you all for being here. I want to start by saying many people still discover countries through stereotypes online about Africa. How can creators challenge those perceptions authentically?
So I personally believe that Africans are the real ambassadors of the continent. And if you're looking for anyone to tackle stereotypes, you don't need to wait for somebody to come and tell your stories for you. You have to start telling your own stories. I'm more like a typical example as an aviation engineer after graduating from university. My own colleagues, because I came from Africa, they felt like I am not that smart to belong to where I am. Hence the reasons why I decided to go on this journey by showcasing the beauty of Africa to the rest of the world. So I believe that it's about time for each and every one of us as Africans, with all the platforms that are being created, use our platform wisely to change the stereotypes of our own continent, because no one else will do it for us apart from us. Thank you.
Thank you. How do you think you're telling Africa's story differently through your content?
I think for me, it was more like the authenticity for me. I just didn't want to be anyone else. I just wanted to be me because I was born and raised in the village. So I wanted to use the village way of telling stories, which I believe that carried a lot of impact because a lot of people were able to connect with me while creating the videos. I think when it comes to platforms, creating stories on different platforms also matters. But one platform that I felt like carried a lot of weight at that time when I was starting was YouTube. And I could just wake up any day, anytime, anywhere, just to tell a story. But the main focus is by telling a positive African story. You will never see any negative story about what I do. I mean, that doesn't mean that I don't encounter negativity whilst traveling. But I lived in China, and China is all about branding. I used to work for the Chinese government. So they show you what to post and what not to post. But when it comes to Africans, we take our negativity and tell you, hey, come for it. We give out our negativity. But because of what I learned when I was living in China, I decided that, hey, it's time to rebrand Africa in my own way. Hence the reason why, even if a tourism board ignores me, I'll still stay positive. People might think I've been paid by the country. I mean, we are in Ethiopia. Let me just give a quick story. I came to Ethiopia, I saw the transformation of Ethiopia, and no one was talking about it. And I'm like, why is transformation happening in Africa that we are not taking advantage by telling our own stories? So I started reaching out to all the government sectors, all of them. Sent proposals, everything. But guess what? I was completely ignored. What I did was, what I do is not about money, it's not about what you tell me to do, it's about the passion to tell positive stories. I came here by myself, that's why I met Gameda, that's why I met my current cameraman, And I sat down with them and I said, what the Prime Minister has done in this country, a lot of Africans need to learn from. So I'm going to use my platform, do my own thing. And guess what? After my videos, I saw a lot of people coming to repeat the same videos. And the saddest part of it all is that every government official page, including embassies, Ethiopian embassies across the globe, everybody shared the posts, the videos that I did. But why are you guys failing to believe in the visions of African creators? That is what I don't understand. We are the real voices of the continent, whether you like it or not. Like the host said, over 400 million people. If you start believing in us, believe me or not, we'll be powerful than the CNN or the BBC that you pay money to showcase your stories. Thank you.
This question is to Haseit. In global competitions and international spaces, how important is it to stay authentic to your culture and true to yourself?
Thank you. So, answering your question, as Miss World Africa, as Miss World Ethiopia 2025, going to the Miss World competition, I have seen a lot of countries, a lot of representatives trying to be what they are not. And I feel like when it comes to being African, us Africans are the one that compromise our values. As he said, we don't really support each other, and it's not even supporting each other. I have got the chance to travel across Africa, different countries, and I have seen that our old morals, our old folklores, our old traditions and cultures are presumed to be backward. Even ourselves, we don't even believe that we have our own things and we can excel and we know better for ourselves. Because I think as Africans, what we try to do is directly implement what the Western world has said to us is right into our culture, which kind of made a division between them and us, which kind of is like, if you see it, it's like water and oil. We have our own kind of traditions, our own culture, our own beautiful clothes. I'm more into the fashion industry, so I'll get into that. Our own beautiful clothes, our own beautiful songs, but we're always compromising ourselves for others and other cultures. So I think authenticity is where we truly accept ourselves first. I think we need to work on our Pan-African mindset first. As Africans, we need to know that Africa comes first. And we need to, in order for us to change the narrative of Africa in different countries, I think it's so much important that we change our perception of Africa. Because even us, we don't really believe in ourselves. Because I travel to different countries, as I told you, different continents, as Miss World Africa, as a person that's the second from like 109 countries. And even in different African countries, I go and I see them paying so much respect for people that are not their color, but I am Miss World Africa. And it's so discouraging to see us worshiping the Western tradition and the Western world. So I feel like the first thing that we need to do is be true to ourselves, know that we are not only better, but we function when we are ourselves. Knowing what authenticity is what is going to make us authentic in the first place. Knowing ourselves and not really degrading our culture is what really is important. I'm sorry I talked.
Thank you. You know, when we talk about branding in Africa, we're also talking about economic value because money talks, yeah? And recently in Ethiopia's tourism sector, we've seen growth. Why do you think Ethiopia is seeing growth now, and what factors do you think are the reason? Do you think there's a lot to do with digital creators also having something to do with Speed's global live stream?
Thank you. As a matter of fact, these digital channels have transformed the way we brand destinations, the way we promote our destinations, and we need to understand the reality that every vacation starts and ends with our mobile phones. So any marketing strategy, any branding operation should respond to such realities. So Ethiopia is set to transform itself not only as a cultural destination, but a future-facing destination, trying to position itself in the global tourism market. It's unfortunate that despite the fact that Ethiopia has enigmatic and extraordinary tourism resources, I can say that we are not good at branding ourselves. This is actually a common problem across Africa, I can say. So there is a perception reality gap. So any marketing strategy, any effort to brand Ethiopia should start from understanding this reality and respond accordingly. There is the global perception. Lensa has raised an important point. Unless we tell about ourselves, the global community will determine our brand. That's how the world operates. So, speaking of the digital channels and influencer marketing, the government of Ethiopia has clearly identified influencers marketing is a key, it's a competitive edge for branding and marketing of Ethiopia. To that end, we are working closely with influencers. We started working closely with influencers, and it is also undeniable fact that these influencers are digital ambassadors and opinion leaders, that they provide, share experiences and recommendations in a personal and unscripted manner. So this is something to do with authenticity. What we are doing now is trying to enhance our visibility, embedding online digital presence and creating partnerships with influencers. The Ministry of Tourism has started, encouraging activities, especially in terms of using influencers, not only local influencers, but continental and international influencers. But a lot has to be done because Africa generally is not branded. There is a need to rebrand ourselves. Africa has been branded, but it was branded inappropriately. So we need to rebrand Africa. Rebranding Africa, and specifically Ethiopia, requires, a shift. We need to start shifting global community's perception from a focus on war, poverty, and conflict to a narrative of growth, opportunities, and innovation. So Ethiopia has set in train a number of initiatives that would help the country to position itself not only as a competitive destination, but a sustainable destination where everyone has something to experience. That's how the Ministry of Tourism and Ethiopia in general is working with the influencers, the digital platforms.
So do you think governments are collaborating enough with creators? This question is for both creators and government representatives alike.
No, not yet. We're starting. There are some, especially partnerships between government and influencers is episodic, I can say. There are some countries which are striving to partner with, to build partnerships with influencers like Kenya, South Africa, and some other countries. And Ethiopia is on the right track. We're starting. We have seen encouraging results, especially because I can say a cabinet of ministers of all African countries may not influence people as my brother do. So this is how the global, the current reality is. So there is, it's not a choice. It's not a choice. For example, more than 60% of millennials book vacations through influencers. Due to the impact, the experience of influencers. So any marketing or branding operations should respond to such situations. If not, will not stay afloat in the market. So I don't think that governments are, properly, cooperating with influencers, but there are good, signals that this partnership would grow into much broader initiatives.
What about for creators? Do you guys feel like governments are working with you enough, collaborating? And if not, in what way would you like to collaborate?
I think, first of all, African governments don't believe in African creators. They don't believe in the values that African creators hold. I have been to 39 different African countries, and I'll say 99% of them don't even understand what you're doing in the first place. And I think we are living in a digital world, so it's about time for government officials to employ people that deserves to be in the right places, not based on political appointment. Because I feel like if you have a tourism minister, the tourism minister should be enthusiastic about tourism. You sit down with a tourism minister and she can't even understand what you're saying. Which I believe that has been a major problem for African creators. I mean, there are a lot of African creators in the room. I don't know if there's anyone that your government has support. Maybe you can stand up and wave your hands like. See, there's a Ugandan creator in this room, 2 Ugandan creators in this room, that for me, when I hear the name Uganda, they are the 2 people that comes to mind. But when we came to this conference, I sat down, start talking to them, like, oh, how's the government of your country, supporting what you do? They don't even exist. But when I hear Uganda, that's the first name that comes into my mind. So I am just sitting in this room, pleading. I think I wish I can record this myself. Pleading with all African governments, we are the new voice. Whether you like it or not, the creator in your country is the new voice of your country, not the media that you pay more money to be on. Because I have seen a lot of tourism boards spend millions of dollars just to appear on the Western media for two minutes. But you're giving them everlasting content, yet they don't even believe in what you're doing. So I am just here to say that, can we start, in as much as we are trying to change the negative narrative, can we start changing that narrative too?
Yeah, that's a good point. But haven't we seen a global shift recently, especially in African leaders, where governments are being more supportive of digital creators? I think there's a shift.
No, we are getting there, but there's more room for improvement. This is the start, no? Yeah, this is the start. A big shout out to the president of Rwanda. Recently, he championed TikTok has been paid in Rwanda. So Rwanda is the only country in Africa that is being paid on TikTok. I believe that in Ethiopia, YouTube is not monetized. You guys have over 120 million people. Just imagine what's going to happen if YouTube get monetized in the country. But it takes a bold step by the government to get it done. So I don't know if we have Ethiopian influencers in here. We have Ethiopian influencers in here. It's about time for you all to come together, speak with one voice. Unity is power. Stop trying to be like, I'm the biggest creator in the room, and at the end of the day, you try to be all by yourself. No one cares. I don't care about the numbers that you have. I only care about what can we do together when we meet. If you have we have the power to change so many things, and this is why this particular event means a lot to me. We have the power. If we put our numbers together, if we put our thoughts together, we can change a lot of things. Never underrate yourself. Never. Listen, I'm sorry. Let me give you a typical example of how powerful your platform is. Ghana was not visa-free for Africans coming to Ghana. I once had opportunity to speak to my president when he was opposition, and I had only one question. Why are you calling Ghana the gateway to Africa, and Africans need to apply for visa to come to Ghana? That's the first time I met him. He said, when I become president, I'll fix it. The day he became president, I went to him, put the camera on him. You are now the president. Why is Ghana not visa-free for Africans? And guess what? On the 25th of May, if you're an African and you are coming to Ghana, you don't need visa to come to Ghana. That is the power of your voices, and I'm here to tell you that start using it wisely. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to ask, what kind of content do you think shifts these negative perceptions about Africa?
Well, I'm not as big as a content creator as all of you here, but I have my content. You all have your content. Before I speak, I just want to say, truly, thank you so much for coming here, for showing up, for coming to Asmis, for coming to Ethiopia to actually collaborate with different African creators to show who we are, to narrate our stories by ourselves. Thank you so much for every single content creator, influencer, anyone that has actually contributed to this, because we are actually trying, and that's the very first step. So when it comes to what kind of contents, I believe that everyone in here have their different contents that they make. Some make comedy content, some make travel content, some make educational content. So I urge you to actually put little bits and pieces of what actually Africa looks like, or what you want your country to be portrayed as, or maybe just what you think people don't know about your country. You have to change. Because I'm not going to say, oh, change your whole content into making Africa great again. That's not what it is, but always put the little efforts into what you make to make it great again. So I think, as we all said in this panel, we have to narrate our stories by ourselves. We're the best storytellers for ourselves. So you don't actually have to make that your content, but in whatever content that you're making, try to incorporate our greatness into it. That's what I want.
What challenges do you face when you're showcasing Africa, usually on your content?
Wow. I don't think I will finish the challenges if I start, but I'll just give you a brief.
Sure.
You might be arrested trying to showcase the city of Africa to the rest of Africans, because Africans believe that if you really want to showcase Africa, you need to go see the animals. Yeah, you need to go to the safaris. That means you are showcasing Africa. But some of us, our content were more of showcasing the beauty of cities. I have been arrested for doing that. I've been deported from a country for doing that. I was mobbed by being called a terrorist for just showcasing the beauty of Africa. Ethiopia, I was harassed when I came here, creating the videos that almost every official was sharing, to the extent that at some point, my camera guy is there, you can see him. Hey, say hello, man. He's Ethiopian, by the way. Please give him a big shout out, man, a big shout out. At some point, we have to call the mayor. The moment we get arrested, he has to call the mayor to come and retrieve me. This is the challenges, and also the borders. I've been slapped at the border for just trying to cross from one country to another. Visa restrictions for Africans. That's why I am very, very active when it comes to borderless Africa. I just can't stop talking about challenges, but I'm just saying that all these challenges enable you to tell the stories better, because life without challenges is definitely boring.
Thank you. So storytelling brings visibility, but how do we turn that into real tourism growth?
Yeah, tourism is about perceptions. I mean, of course, branding is not only connected to perceptions. It should be something that should be experienced, but perception matters. So any branding and positioning activities, are targeted to change the perceptions positively. So stories, when especially in the digital platforms, stories spark interest and drive bookings. It's practical. I mean, this is proven that in many countries, they achieved high competitiveness and high yield tourism markets based on the authentic stories created and shared to people. On one hand, its accessibility, the overall reach is quite significant. On the other, you may have a number of traditional media or traditional advertising mechanisms, but they couldn't be as effective as this influencers marketing activities. So storytelling, inspires people. Storytelling, especially in a way that it's done in authentic manner, would enable people to book, to select the destinations, to go to be inspired to visit and experience. So from researching, discovery to experiencing and sharing their experiences could all impact the overall tourist activities. And when tourists, the volume of tourists increase, that has a direct impact on tourism receipts. But this is not always the case, because there are countries that host a great number of tourists but get smaller amount of money. Ethiopia, as a strategy, what we are pursuing is targeting high yield markets. So storytelling has direct impact on the travelers' decision making and the overall perception of a destination's identity.
Do you think Africa is undermarketed or misrepresented?
Both. I feel like from what we have said, it is very clear that Africa is undermarketed and very misrepresented. And as I said, it's not only the Western media that plays a part in it, but also us Africans and our different leaders, if I might say. Because we are always celebrated after our win. We're not supported to the process of us growing, if that makes sense. And the youth, I think, they have been saying, the other panelists, when they were being questioned, there need to be a policy of influencers and different social media or content creators, someone that is in this industry to actually market their countries. As he has said, it is such a struggle to actually do what he does, and he is celebrated after he does it. So we need to share the struggles together. We need to, it's not only about marketing, it's also about fixing our understanding about the marketing situation, our understanding between ourselves in order for us to grow.
Do you have anything to add?
I would definitely agree with her. Africa, I don't know who said that. Somebody said Africa is the greatest continent.
I said it. We should all say it, actually. We should say that more.
Like I was clapping for you. So can we all say, like, Africa is the greatest continent in the entire world? I have traveled to the 9 different African countries, and every country finds its way to surprise you. Like, Africa is just beautiful, untapped. Everyone sees the beauty of Africa apart from Africans. And that is what shocks me. I just want to know, if you have booked a vacation to Dubai, please cancel it. If I just want to tell you that if you have booked a vacation to Paris, please cancel it. Choose Botswana as a holiday destination. Choose Ethiopia as a holiday destination. Choose Namibia as your holiday destination. Like, whatever you're going to find out there, we have it in abundance. And each and every one are natural in its authentic form. The ones that you see out there, it's so sad that Africans will leave waterfalls and go and see water fountains. I don't get it. I don't get it. I think it's time for us to tell our own stories. Travel to that African country, take that photo, inspire a brother to go visit too. Thank you.
The music is also better here, yeah?
What?
The music is better here too.
The music, eh? Only if you know how to play with your chest.
So we're gonna try to keep it brief. We're really short on time. But for each of you, if you had one global campaign to rebrand Africa, what would it look like?
Yeah, the first thing, any branding campaign, Africa should have a single destination identity. Joint promotion and branding activities are not being carried out. So any branding, I would aspire a comprehensive branding campaign, not countries independent, targeting countries independently, but Africa as a single destination. It's unfortunate that Africa has everything, but most travelers, especially in the source markets, Africa is perceived to be a destination for safari, game drives, and wildlife tourism, which constitutes 86% of the overall tourism market. But Africa has everything. Africa comes before gastronomy tourism. Africa has a huge potential for medical tourism. Africa has a huge potential for ecotourism and other niche tourism products. So I would aspire a comprehensive branding campaign which positions Africa as a single destination. Of course, this requires a number of interventions which centrally includes influencers activities.
That was such a good answer. I was just digesting that because that is very true. Whenever I travel to different countries, people often tell me they have visited Tanzania, Kenya, South Africa, and the things they know about the country is the safari. I have also got the opportunity to go and see the safari, but we are more than that. We have more to show with our culture as in just clothes, fashion, the people, so many things that you'd be surprised of that Africa has, but we haven't been able to tell. When, of course, our other panelists are saying about our medical tourism, Africa's building amazing medical sector in Ethiopia, as far as I know, so many things that I think we can reach out to our other brothers in Africa. And something I also want to say in this panel before I get down is we have to support each other in our transboundary medias like POA. Something I really appreciate about POA is it's not a media that is national, it is continental. And working together, we truly can actually tell our stories by ourselves through that. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a channel or a news outlet, but the name influencer is stemming from influential. Those people are influential. Those people are talked about, those people are seen, those people can touch people's life. So I think we have to influence through our influencers, give the youth a chance. To different African governments, I believe that we need to give our youth a chance. We need to incorporate the youth energy into our different sectors, into not only tourism I'm talking about. So giving that and doing that is also not only going to grow us, but is also going to build the future Africa, because we are the future. You cannot just like put us aside and do everything by yourself. So I believe that the rebranding of Africa is going to be done by the youth and should incorporate the youth with it.
Thank you.
I'm so glad our moderator is coming from POA. So I just want to say that for a biggest campaign that I will ever do is POA, making sure that every African creator in this room finds a way to share a positive story about their country every single day. And while doing that, government of various sectors will make them ambassadors of their countries. You will see how the African stereotype narrative will start shifting. I'm so glad the PM has this initiative, but if this initiative will transform the continent, it depends on the creators that you're seeing in this room. And it's about time to support them in any way. I'm not talking about myself, but I believe some of them need funding. I believe some of them need equipment to tell the stories better. Don't look further. Look for them. And the story will never be the same. Thank you.
We're finishing now for the final question. I want you all to leave us with just a message. In one sentence, Africa should be known for. In one sentence, Africa should be known for.
To me, Africa is a fruit of all seasons. Every traveler can find something to experience, which is authentic and soulful. So Africa is a fruit of all seasons where an assortment of different tourism products are stored.
The fruit of a nation.
Just one simple message. Africa should be borderless.
Should be what?
Borderless.
Borderless.
I mean, it's time for us to move from one country to another. So a borderless Africa will be a game changer for the continent. Thank you.
I believe Africa should be known for her children that are fighting for her. And I believe that we, as Ethiopians, as Africans, should fight for, everything is not given, and we have to earn what has been said about us. We have to earn the change. And I believe Africa should be known for children. Africa should be known for the fight that she is doing. Africa should be known for her youth that are trying to build a better Africa for themselves and for the other generation coming.
Thank you, Hasid. What a time to be alive and what a time to be an African, huh? Before I give a farewell to the panelists, I want to invite anyone who, 2 or 3 questions, yeah, immediately. Could we give a mic?
Thank you, everyone. I'm Kevin Black, and I'm from Nigeria, a satiric comedian. I make content on our politics, especially the ills, and how to promote a better Africa politically. So I've heard you spoken a lot about how we can promote Africa, how our content should push who we are, right? So, but some of us, sometimes out of what we see in our society, see the need to address a certain social or societal ill. And you cannot just be positive when you are talking about your country, especially there's something you want to address. You can't always be positive. So I don't know if this is going to be, I would want you to make a remark on that, right? Based on how much you've traveled. Anyways, this is the first time I'm traveling out of Nigeria. Not because I couldn't, I was always, in that fight that I want to go to Europe and all of that. But when I started making money and got influential, my priority changed. I wanted to remain and make more impact than run away. So I rebranded my content from just family content to political satire. And it gained so much trends that even my government wanted to give me INEC Youth Ambassador like a few days ago, and I rejected it because I didn't want to be part of people who bring in bad governance. And I had restrictions. They told me they are conditioned to what I have to say and what I must not say. And I've been standing with my people, And this is not just out of that I want to go viral. You know, it came from the fact that there are tears in the street. Millions of Africans. You see how beautiful this place is. There are people in the rural area who do not have access to water. And what we see in the picture on the biggest screen is a fine city where there are people who are not cared for. And then I took it upon myself that we can only die once, right? I'm sorry, I have to sit down to finish because I wasn't feeling too well like 2 days ago. So, how do you criticize your government? Criticize some of the ills, like my popular slogan is let's see the edit. And when you go through my page, you will understand. Last week, I shot a content about xenophobia in South Africa, and then I got so many threats in my DM that I had to cancel. But you cannot just look at what is going on in South Africa and don't want to talk about it if you are true to yourself that you want a change in your place. How can you balance criticizing the government to help your people and also selling your people in a good light? And I'm going to be honest, when I came here, I never knew a place like this existed in Africa, although I see videos a lot, pictures, even learned how to dance, just dance and all of that. You know, I see, but coming here proved it more. And the last content I did with Gladys, she came to Nigeria. I'm yet to release it. I tried to promote we using our own fabrics. Africans would want to buy Gucci because it's sold thousands of dollars. But what he's wearing, even though he has more quality material, wouldn't be sold expensive and wouldn't be valued. So I portrayed a content where 2 people came to give a governor a gift. One presented Gucci, one presented African fabrics, and I dropped the African fabric on the ground when I had the prize. And then she said that we need to rebrand. African leaders need to go back to drawing table and project our materials, project ourselves. So what I'm doing and what I've learned since I came here is that I'm going to, instead of saying we are bad, I can also say that some people are good, so these people should copy from these people. So that's my question.
Okay, thank you. I think...
Do you have time? Because I think
answer that?
we're running out of time for the second.
Yeah, just a very quick question. Maybe let's just take 2 and then
You can ask your question first and then maybe they'll answer. Just very quickly.
All right, my name is Mazi Akwaka. I'm from Nigeria. My question is very simple. My question is, how are we going to sell a market that is not sellable? Yes.
can you elaborate more what you mean by that?
Okay, just for example, I came to Ethiopia and I saw that the Ethiopia city, the Addis Ababa, is sellable. And where we're coming from, what am I going to sell? Thank you.
Yes. What will someone who is coming from Uganda, who is not even allowed to use Facebook, say? What would the person sell? So you see?
I think Governor Amunike, the moment I met you, I told you one thing, if you remember or recall, that what you're doing is incredible. I believe in not going viral, but creating content to make a change. And that is what you are doing. We all have to play a role in our own way to make a change from our own surroundings. I have decided that, hey, Africa is full of so many negativities. Can I go a route by showcasing the positive aspect of Africa? And that's what I'm doing. Now, you have seen a problem in our government sector, and you're using your social media platform to change it. That is what we need. He is saying that, like, we can come from a country where nothing is sellable. No. I wish you've lived out of Africa before. The things that there are no value, but they find a way to rebrand it and sell it to us, and we buy it. It's all boils down to our mindset. I think she repeated that here. Just your surroundings. You can find something positive to sell, and people will be amazed about what you're selling, even though you think it's not sellable. And I think she was in Nigeria. Stand up, let them see you.
Beautiful, beautiful.
She did a video at the airport in Nigeria that I believe that even Nigerians were shocked. I was going through the comments. She arrived at the airport and realized that, oh, things have changed. The last time that I came, there were so many things happening. But this time around, a lot of things have changed. She talked about it, and now I believed it because it's coming from her. So these are the things that I'm just saying, like, as a creator, look around you. I'm not saying we should be negative throughout. There are so many positives on our continent for us to talk about. And we need more people that create content that has something to do with our minds. Africans need to start changing the way they think, and it all depends on us. She looks so beautiful, rocking Ethiopian outfit. I'm rocking it. She's rocking it. Why can't you rock it too? Bro, I'm in UK. Are you not rocking it? It is what it is. It starts from each and every one of us. And I believe that after this summit, we will all go home to our various countries to represent our various countries in a positive way. Thank you.
I just want to say very quickly.
Before you wrap up, we have one question from that side. There's but make it 30 seconds from the middle side. Make it so short. We haven't heard from the middle row, so we'd like to quickly hear what you have to say.
Thank you for the chance. My name is Mohammed Ismail. I'm known as Hamoudi. I'm a proud African and Ethiopian, so I'm one of Ethiopia's representatives in here. First of all, I want to say welcome to the African content creators, because literally this is Africa right now. We're seeing everywhere, different people, different culture, and it's so beautiful. We're proud to have you here. I want to say thank you for what have been said in the discussion, and to our Ministry of Tourism. As an Ethiopian, I want to say, as Mr. said, we don't have to focus on the numbers, rather on the influence and the potential we have. Myself, I'm a multilingual content creator. I speak 4 languages, plus I'm learning my 5th. Now, just because my number is not in millions, it does not mean I cannot influence. I am one of the main influencers for the Ethiopians who come from Saudi. I was in Saudi Arabia, I brought the culture here, but I am showing people in Saudi that we have a beautiful country. Just like that, we need the potential and the help of our Ministry of Tourism so that we can show the real Africa. To me, my question is, how are you planning to work with us youngsters and also the adults? And my last question, in short, you all seen the famous American streamer. He came all the way to Africa and made a stream tour, right? We don't need people to come from another continent to show us our continent, right? It's like, really, it's like a guest coming to your house and helping your mom clean the room. Like, it doesn't make sense. You have to clean your own house, show your own neighborhood, show your own people by yourself using your language, your culture. We welcome guests to our country, but we need to show our own culture ourselves. So we should work together in here, and thank you so much for this opportunity, and welcome to everyone. Welcome to Ethiopia. Thank you.
I believe from what Hamoudi said, as you can tell, we always preach about how we should tell our stories. But something I'm very happy about our brother there for mentioning is, I forgot for a second, something I shouldn't forget, is the xenophobia that we have. In different African countries, you can see that we really do not think that we are for each other, that we are brothers. something that he has been preaching, borderless Africa. It's not really about the borders, physical borders that we have or geographical borders. It's the borders that we have in our minds. It's the borders that we think one is better than the other, one is different from the other. We are Africans, we are brothers. We stem from the same land. And as we have been preaching, our unity is our strength. And I believe that every country should understand that we are brothers. And regarding the xenophobia that's been happening in South Africa, it truly pains me to see it. Because Ethiopians being targeted, Ethiopians and South Africans have a long history of getting together, even their freedom fighters coming to Ethiopia, taking different, different fighting techniques, what do you call it? And going back to their countries to actually set their countries free. We were fighting together at some point. And I believe that we should respect each other. And we should know that we are not the enemy. I've been to South Africa a couple of times, and I'll tell you one thing. We are not the enemy. The enemy is living with you, okay? And I believe, I feel like I'm saying some things very boldly, but truly because I think we need to understand in our hearts that we are brothers, and the more we work together, we rise. Let's know who the enemy is and who our brother is first. Let's know who we are first. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asmis. I just want to say quickly, there is no such thing as an unmarketable Africa. Every single country in Africa is marketable. It basically sells itself. Uganda is the source of the Nile. It's known as the Pearl of Africa because it's lush, green, and beautiful. It's known for a lot of things. As content creators, I think it's your job to find the story, to find what makes something, you could make content out of anything, right? So that's up to you to find what is marketable about Africa country, yes? But thank you so much for this discussion. I hope we keep having these Pan-African discussions. We'll move on to the third panel. Thank you so much to our panelists.
Thank you. Would like to have a picture. You as well. There's no running away from photos. You always do that. All right. Let's see that smile. That was a very interesting discussion full of wisdom. While they're still there on stage, I would like us to give us a shout out to Ethiopian influencers from welcoming their brothers and sisters from across the continent to partnering with other global influencers to sell Ethiopia's image as the birthplace of coffee, the source of the Nile. They have been wonderful. We're going to take pictures now. Thank you all so much. And while we're at it, I'd like to give a shout out to all of our sponsors. Thank you to the Commercial Bank of Ethiopia, the Ministry of Tourism, the Addis Ababa Mayor's Office, Ethio Telecom, Addis Ababa Tourism Commission, Dashen Bank, Safaricom Ethiopia, and Ethiopian Airlines. Thank you to all of our sponsors. And thank you to our wonderful panel. Those were words with such wisdom. You guys mature beyond your age. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. We're now going to go to our third panel because we're rushing. Tonight, we have a dinner at Totot. Some people have already learned how to dance the Ethiopian dance. You're practicing again tonight. So tonight, we'll have a dinner at Totot. So we're going to rush through our last panel. So our last panel is about Agenda 2063 in action. Our moderator will be Raphael Williams. Raphael Williams is a prominent figure in Ghana civic space. He's widely recognized for his bold advocacy through the hashtag Fix the Country movement. He uses his platform to champion good governance, youth empowerment, accountability, and Pan-African unity. One thing I can say about him, we've learned from Wodemaya about bravery. These African influencers are beyond anything brave. Please welcome Raphael Williams. Welcome, Raphael. How do you welcome Raphael?
Sorry. Thank you. Before I start, as an advocate and a Pan-Africanist, I need to really heat the place up because it looks like the place is so dull right now. After we ate, everywhere is so down. And as an activist, I always chant with energy. And in Ghana, we say something, "Cho boy," then we respond, "Yay." So I will go by saying, "Africa, cho boy, cho boy, yay, yay." Thank you so much. Our Miss Africa made mention of xenophobic attacks happening in South Africa. And ever since this thing started in South Africa, I've been advocating for this for years. In fact, one brother from Nigeria who was murdered some time ago that hurt me so much that made me start learning Nigerian anthem when I was going on a show to speak against xenophobic attacks. This actually hurt me so much, and for years, these attacks continue. And as we have gathered here today, I think this is actually the Youth African Union Summit happening on the land of Africa. And we need to use this opportunity to call the attention of the African Union to make a statement or call the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, to make a statement and a strong and a bold action against this xenophobic attacks that is happening in South Africa. Because this can never be accepted as an Africans. This is not African, and we need to condemn it in all forms. Thank you. A lot have been said, and I wouldn't want to preach much. Let me just go straight to what we are going to do. So good afternoon to us all. Today's conversation will be focused on critical questions: how Africa can move from digital ambitions to measurable impact. We will be exploring the role of policy making, strategic innovations, digital platforms, and shaping Africa's digital future. This will be practical conversations. We are not only talking about vision, we want to understand execution, what is working for us, what is not working for us, and what needs to be done as Africans. I will also be encouraging our panelists to share real examples, innovative, and lessons that our audience here can learn from and apply as content creators. We will begin with our first segment, focusing on the policy and government leadership, which I always stand for. So, one of the greatest challenges of Africa is that we have numerous of languages, and it becomes very difficult sometimes even mentioning your own fellow African brother's name. So I beg your indulgence if I make mistakes in mentioning the names, because it is very difficult for me. We'll be inviting our brother Ashagri G. Abdil, who is an Ethiopian international human rights lawyer, strategic advisor, and an author specialized in conflict analyst and governance. He is recognized for his work on the intersection of law, collective memory, and national building in Africa, practically within Ethiopia. Let's welcome our comrade and brother. Come on. Is that how we... Man, if you're not an activist, you didn't know the role of lawyers, man. Come on. Show love. Thank you and welcome. Let's again welcome, we always need our women with us. Miss Bothri Kabeboni Benyendi, who is the Director of Strategic Planning and Delivery at the African Union Commission, where she coordinates Agenda 2063 within over 15 years of senior management experience. Her career includes leadership roles such as CEO of the Botswana National Olympics Committee and Executive Director at the Botswana Investment and Trade Center. She holds a master's and Masters in Strategic Management and is currently pursuing a doctorate in Transformational Leadership. Our next panelist will be Barricade Darambi, or Daramba? Dereba. Thank you so much for the correction. Is a deputy permanent representative of Ethiopian to the African Union. Previously, he served as Deputy Director General of the Institution of Foreign Affairs. He holds MSc in Politics and Conflict Resolution, Politics and Conflict Right and Justice from SOAS School of Oriental and African Students, University of London. Welcome, my brother. We hope that this conversation will be so impactful. This is going to be practical to, usher in all the conversations we've had, the AI, the impact of marketing and how to influence, our continent and sell our market. This is going to be policies and strategies that is going to actually help us move from where we are to where we want to be. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope that this conversation becomes more practical. First, let's focus on, thank you so much for the conversation we've had earlier and the impactful impact you all have made in Africa so far. What is the vision we hold for Africa in the 2063 agenda? Anybody can take that.
So thank you very much. As introduced, I am responsible for the coordination of Agenda 2063 in the African Union. And I was pained in one of the previous sessions that was interrogating whether Africa has a strategy or not. Africa has a strategy. It's a 50-year strategy that we call the African Blueprint. The vision of the strategy is that we want to position Africa for 3 results. We say we wanted it to be an integrated, prosperous and peaceful Africa, driven by its own citizens and representing a dynamic force in the global arena. So all the previous panels were speaking to that reality. Branding is what will make us a force to reckon in the global arena. The youth are citizens of Africa, majority that are to drive the results, and the results are peace, prosperity, and integration. And integration cannot exist in closed borders. So the vision is there, the strategy is there, the intentions are there, defined in what we call Agenda 2063. 7 aspirations in the second 10 years, 7 moonshots. They have already been agreed by our heads of states. We are no longer looking for political will. We are talking about political commitment that have to be executed. And us in the room, we should hold each other accountable and have our spade, all hands on the deck towards the Africa we want. Thank you.
Right. I think we would have to go to council. And as a lawyer, when Wadimaya, the previous panelist, was talking, they made mention of some of the challenges we would have to go through moving around Africa, creating content. As a legal person, what do you also make of these content creators, or what do you think that we can contribute in protecting some of these content creators within Africa when they find themselves in such challenges?
Thank you very much. Just let me put one disclaimer. So I don't represent a government or an institution. I am just here as a private citizen so that I can speak without any guardrails.
Feel free.
Yeah. So I think think of around 15th century when we had the print. I think of Johannes Gutenberg, who revolutionized about knowledge distribution, book printing in masses. So for Africa, the content creators, these influencers are like that. And they are actually becoming the distributors and the knowledge creators. So what has happened for many centuries is that the knowledge production and the knowledge distribution was controlled by very few. So one of the reasons why we Africans were left behind was we did not have those means of production and also those who distribute, be it a narrative or whatsoever. Now, if we say these content creators and influencers are for us our Johannes Gutenberg of the 15th century, we must protect them by having a clear legal framework. So most of the time, the problem we have is countries, we have 54 countries, and so we have different legal systems. Countries have their own laws. Of course, at the end of the day, we believe in one Africa. We want to have access up to most of your countries. And I'm only proud of those countries. In a sense that as an African, I was treated with respect. But I have also a responsibility in a sense that I have to know the laws, how to navigate borders. How do I need a visa? Do I need a yellow fever vaccine? There are many moving factors that we, especially the influencers, have to also know the dig. Having said that, we must have, of course, with the freedom of expression, you can't have content creators. I have a friend who said, if you don't have a Facebook account, how can you sell your stories? So one of the pillars in the Agenda 2063 is having order, good governance, and the things like that. So we answer these kind of questions within a larger framework. There are strategic issues that would support us to address these issues, whether it is border or other materials. I know Wodimaya was in Ethiopia a couple of times, and the story he did, I shuttled between different countries, and my neighbor happened to be a Ghanaian. And before me watching that video, he saw the video and shared it with me. Hey, my friend, your country is doing these kind of things. What are you doing here? So these content creators reaching across the globe. So we have to treat them as treasures. I'm going to use again an economist, George Atiye, who said, this African generation are the cheetah generation, not the hippo generation. So we must make sure that our laws are up to date, and they protect them and they respond to their issues.
But Council, you know, as a digital creator and an advocate as well, sometimes you step on toes. We call it necessary disobedience in advocating. Sometimes there are some of these laws you might not even know or be aware of it. And how do we get access to some of you legal people? Because there is a distance between us and you people, you know, and I use you people in the context where we can really get access to legal representatives, and the chargings of it become so huge. So I think there is this collaboration that we need to all have together, and also you advocating in representing us in some of these flaws when we break them.
Yeah, you are. That's true. We always, I know lawyers are inaccessible, and that they are also very expensive. Me personally, I will be very happy to do a pro bono on that aspect. But one of the requirements of the law is it is accessibility to its people. Be foreigner, when you are a foreigner, when you go to another country, you must know their laws. This is not only for Africa. It is true across the board. You can go any country, you have to respect those laws. So I think most of the things that we are struggling with can be answered within the context of sovereignty of the states, as well as also of course, there should be a rule of law as well.
Right, thank you. So as creators, we must always learn the law whenever we are traveling so that we don't find ourselves in problems. So let's go to our brother who is actually a representative of the African Union. One thing is already clear: policies may set directions by strategies and execution demanding impact. As part of a representative of the African Union, what are some of these policies that the African Union for years has been putting in place in shaping or meeting the world digital space?
Just one correction, I'm not representative of the African Union. I represent the government of Ethiopia at the African Union. I'm just a deputy, and I'm not here on my official position or role, but I was invited here and I was keen to see and be amongst my African brothers and sisters whom I have admired as well, like any other African citizen. One thing, but I can speak to the Ethiopian government digital policy in terms of digital transformation, what we are doing in Ethiopia. Before starting, for me, if you noticed Agenda 2063, the number 2063 is just 100 years from 1963. It was a year where the Organization of the African Unity was founded here in Addis Ababa, where our forefathers and leaders from the free African countries came together to establish our organization. And it was during its 15th Golden Jubilee anniversary that African leaders examine the paths that they take and come up with a new aspiration as to where they want to go, and they call it Agenda 2063. We have achieved a lot under the Organization of African Unity, and now it is up to this generation to achieve more, and the digital space gives us an immense power. Earlier I was thinking when the previous speakers were sharing their ideas, we are not any longer only confined into a physical space. We are also living in the digital space. Earlier we were talking about the need for free borders, visa, lifting of visa restrictions and so on. Those are what we find on the Agenda 2063, but on the digital space we already have it. We are already communicating from one corner of Africa to the other corner of Africa. And some of those digital creators are more influential than heads of state or even politicians. That's off record. So that gives the digital creators an immense power, and if they understand that power, they can do a lot with it. What we are doing here in Ethiopia is that we are not only using and utilizing the digital technology as an enabler, but as a core and one of the 5 main economic sectors where we are hoping that it will support our economy beside agriculture and mining, manufacturing, and tourism. So it's not just an enabler for us to do things, for us to speak with each other, but by itself it's a major an economic area. That's what we believe in. That's why we have included it in our development plans, including the 10-year Ethiopia's development plan and also the homegrown economic reform, the first one and the second one. And now we have what we call the Digital Ethiopia 2025, which we have just finished, and now we have Digital Ethiopia 2030. So with this, what we are trying to do is setting up the infrastructure for the digital technology expansion or digital economy expansion in the country. We have already started digitalizing some of our public services. If you go in parts of Addis, you might have seen the one-stop shop service where you get the entire government public services in just one shop. That was enabled by the digital transformation, and I can keep on mentioning. But within this, the digital creator's role is very immense. We are creating the foundation, the structure, and the infrastructure that will enable the digital creators to do whatever they aspire to do. And it is also, the African Union also have its own digital policy as well that we share as a continent. So there is the interest, but there are certain countries that are indeed going ahead in implementing this. And I think some of you have witnessed that in Addis when you visited the Artificial Intelligence Institute the past few days.
Right. I think for Ethiopia, it is possible because ever since I got to Ethiopia, I've experienced a lot when it comes to adding to the digital space and making sure that influencers actually experience the best of room to do whatever they need to do as creators. Going to strategic planning, you are a strategic planner. As an African and where you stand currently, what are some of the strategic plans that you think African leaders or the African Union must put in place to meet this 2063 agenda? Because it looks like Africans keep talking, but then we are not putting practical strategies in place to make sure that this becomes a reality.
Thank you very much. My direct response to it is that we are now at a narrative of the decade of acceleration. During the first decade, we were saying it's a decade of convergence, where those policies and strategies were being put together, and we were testing whether as a continent we are agreeing or not. We agreed. The frameworks are there, the policies are there, we lack implementation. And to your question, what are we doing differently to try and accelerate implementation? My brother has said it all, that the very digital transformation strategy of AU, the very intellectual property policy exists, but the uptake of member states is different. The very policy that we produced in the AU is the one that Rwanda is using. When I inquired in Botswana, every of those policies that enable our content creators in Botswana, they are still at the draft level. They are still yet to be approved by Parliament. So you'd see that we cannot always be going back to the policy environment. Can we transition to the discipline of execution as Africa? Because even those who strategize against us, they depart on what we intend to do. And if it is sabotage, they sabotage us from there. So the policies are there. We are encouraging you as content creators that you are borderless. The physical borders for you to reach out to your president, for you to reach out to the AU chairperson is borderless. It would take me a week to knock his doors and 5 secretaries maybe to reach up to him, while it takes you one post to keep him awake at night. So let's leverage our physical space of being borderless, of having no physical constraints to push for implementation of policies. We say we are aligning the policies from AU, from UN, with national development plans. So success of our strategies is evident in the execution of our national development plans. My brother here talked about something very interesting, that we have no balance of sovereignty. We cannot have sovereignty and also have individualism at the same level. One must submit to the other. Do we want to hunt as a pack as Africa, or we are safeguarding our security to close borders against each other, to do whatever painful things we are doing to each other? So policies and frameworks are there. Implementation is happening at member states level, not in New York, not in Addis Ababa. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think these are policies being strategized by the, policymakers. What do you advise that we as content creators, what will be our role to play in making sure that this becomes effective?
So the Agenda 2063, the 50 years strategic framework or the Africa we want can be accelerated or delayed based on how states are implementing those dreams or those blueprints at the end of the day. But let me phrase this in the context of the youth, because for us in Africa, we have 60% of our population are under the age of 60. This is a lot. And for sub-Saharan Africa, it is 70% of our population is under the age of 30. And by 2030, 42% of the global south, the youth, it's African youth. So now I want to link the content creators to these dynamics. Most of the content creators are also urban based, right? So most of them are urban based. And for Africa, by 2050, the urban population will be doubled, which is going to be 1.2 billion people. Now, how can this young generation, especially the content creators, can play a major role into bringing those policies into action, into project execution? I think one of the things that we have to always remember, even though we have to tell good stories about Africa, is we have to also be honest about what are our limitations. So that means you should be allowed to criticize the bad deeds. You can't simply sugarcoat because somebody is paying or sponsoring. This includes corporate social responsibility as well. So you have to speak truth to power, be it corporate or governments. If you don't hold them to account, you are replacing the traditional media. I don't go to BBC. Most of the time, people go to the influencers that they follow. Because the thing that you do in Kumasi or Accra, we reach not only in Addis, they go to Brussels and New York. Other countries are framing their policy based on the sentiment that they see. They see the comments under the video that you are creating. They're creating their national policies, be it trade, military, or whatsoever, based on how the people are reacting to the content that you are creating. So it is not only like, you are not simply saying just stories for fun. You are actually shaping the national policies, the continental policies. So for African countries, and it is institutions, including the African Union, embracing the power of influencers, working with them, listening to them, there is no any other alternative. And you also have to understand this power. You can create damage, or you are part of a success story, be holding power to account, or also appraising or creating a good image when there is a good image about it.
So to make this more practical for us as content creators and as a young person in government, how do we assess some of these government officials? Because it is very difficult for sometimes some of these creators to even get access to get the right information to send it across. Just like you said, we can either disseminate good information that will build or bad information that can collapse. So how do we get access to, send the right information out there to help also contribute into the Agenda 63?
I just want to reframe the question and try to challenge you and other influencers and ask you, the current freedom that all of the African countries, we have a political freedom for now. We're not under norms, colony at least. That was achieved because of the young people who were dedicated, their youth and their life in the past for the cause.
Not to cut you, but I would have loved to ask this Are we really free as Africans, though? And my fellow Nigerians would answer that perfectly. Are we really free? I don't think that as young people we enjoy the best of Africa.
I think I felt it when I said that. I might have been triggering another debate, but my point is that the current African influencers or influencers in many African countries should need to understand their ability and capacity to influence change in the continent. The way the previous freedom fighters did in the guerrilla fight, they can now do it in the digital space by creating awareness and moving people and influencing government. So I don't think the power lies with the government or the power lies somewhere, but the power lies with our digital gadgets and ourselves. So we have to believe in our capacity to influence change, and with that we can bring a lot of things. I am saying this mainly in the context of the Agenda 2063, which is to see an integrated and prosperous and peaceful Africa. So to that end, what you are already doing, you coming here to Addis and showing Addis to the rest of Africa, the same with Wandemai and others, what you are already doing is contributing towards that integration, because integration will not happen without understanding. First, you have to know, you have to understand, and then you will act after that. But now, when you are in the dark, when you don't know about each other, when you don't know about the rest of your fellow Africans, countries' potential, you are not going to be motivated to go and visit them. So it is with knowledge, with understanding that integration starts. So for me, even now, we can start with that by promoting Africa the way we are doing, by promoting African countries to each other the way we are already doing. Intensifying this will contribute to the integrated Africa we aspire to see.
I really have objections to that, because integrating Africa is not done by creators alone. When we met here, in fact, regardless of wherever we're coming from, I always say I'm an African, but I live in Ghana, right? But is it the reality? And like I said earlier and introduced, that we must make this conversation more practical. What is it that is stopping us as a continent? I call it country most of the time. We can have that space if leadership are not really integrating themselves. How do I move freely to Burkina right now as an influencer? How do I move to Mali? Recently, there was some insurgent in Mali that was killing a lot of people, which I think that if African Union is really not putting words together and only talking about strategies and have a practical, realistic solutions to some of these problems that would affect us positively as content creators, this can never be done. I think Doug have something to say with that.
So this is a very tricky question. So I'm also partly a historian. So the place where you are, the stories you saw outside, I was the chief narrative creator for this museum. And I had the opportunity to meet some of your presidents, some of your football players. So the discussion about having one Africa is not new. You remember the Monrovia and the Casablanca group, how it starts and how we have come to this space. So integration requires a deliberate, conscious process whereby you understand each other's culture, language, legal system. Of course, we want one Africa, not only in terms of like going from one country to another country without a passport. We need the movement of people, service, and the goods. That is our dream, and it requires steps. I personally believe that as a continent, you say Africa is a country that is good on the positive aspect, but also if you remember, if you go to Western countries, they will tell you, if you speak, for example, let's say Amharic, do you speak African? Oh, did you go to Africa? For them, Africa is just one village, everybody is living in a hut. Do you guys have a cell phone in your country? So I'm not creating this. This happened to me. So as a continent, we have come way, and we always need a push factor as well. And we consider these new generations as push factors. That's why I borrowed economist George Atia's word. This is a cheetah generation that can, be an accelerator to take Africa to the next step, not only in terms of free movement of people, free movement of goods or services. We actually want to see the Africa we want, the Agenda 2063, in terms of governance, in terms of economy, knowledge production. That can only happen by taking different steps, conscious decisions. So one of the things that you are good at is narrative power. So many people mention why someone is creating your narrative. What Africa is all about, I watched a couple of short clips. You see, even among ourselves, we share. You see, our friends wait for their husbands, how the Brazilians wait for husbands. So a lot of romantic pictures. Then they say, how the African wives wait for their husband. Then they have the machete and the wait for a husband. We laugh at this kind of stories, but there is a sinister goal behind these videos. If we play a bigger role, I think one of the Kenyan influencers, I don't know if he's here or not, how the Westerners do documentaries in Africa. I don't know if he's here or not. I was watching that, and that actually, wow, because I have traveled to those people to many countries. And actually that is some of them, not all of them, some of them is how they create documentaries. You are hearing this. I hope you have a blueprint. Right? I hope you would agree with me. Over here? Okay. So I hope what you have seen here can serve as a blueprint for how you can transform a city in a short period of time with this scale and with this, in terms of even aesthetic aspect of it. So we don't need, I think it was what May or somebody mentioned, Africans just pay some foreign media, pay millions and then go there and do interview. No, we don't need external validations. We are good ourselves. We need our young people, our social media influencers. For example, this 2026 program, every African country should die for this, to host this. The people who organize this should not really struggle, should not suffer to put this together. It looks beautiful here now. I know one of the organizers really struggled. I even personally went on my way to make some calls. So we have to respect our content creators. These are our PR people, our diplomats, and our role models. If we don't have space for these policymakers at the end of the day, we'll fail if they always go for the external validation. We don't need that. We can tell our stories. We have to be honest to ourselves as well.
Thank you so much. I think you really nailed it there, because I was always communicating with my brother from Ghana. Any day, how is it going? Any challenges? I was always, because I know what goes into putting these things together. But then, as a continent that has put together a strategic plan for Agenda 2063, and we are the new Ministry of Information. The content creators are the new ministers of information. If you're part of it, let me get a clap from us. Yeah. And you see, one of the greatest challenges for me, I've been arrested in Ethiopia, and I had to call my brother Gameda when I was doing content in Howlett, not knowing there was some security officers following me. I didn't know them because they were in Mufti, and they were like, "What are you recording? Camera." And I have to give the phone to Gameda. I call him on the phone, then he spoke with them, and later they have to leave me. All government officials have security. Do we also have any security strategic plan for these young ministers of information as part of the agenda we are trying to project? Because whether we like it or not, some of us are going to be there. My first time in visiting Ethiopia was not about coming to see Ethiopia as a tourist. This year, I said to myself that I am actually going to travel around Africa to bring out the good things some governments are doing better. And I think it was the right decision I made visiting Ethiopia, because I saw a template that all African leaders can learn from. And regardless, there are still challenges attached to it. What are some of the strategic plans for security for some of these influencers when we travel around? Is it also part of it? Are we also going to integrate that as part of the strategic plans in protecting our content creators? Because we face a lot, and it needs to be part of it. If we are moving together that the world needs content creators, then we must be protected. Do we also have something like that?
Thank you very much. I think it starts in, it takes me back to the brand hexagon that the governance ecosystem of any nation or of our continent speaks to who we are as Africa. The way we treat immigrants as part of the brand hexagon, the tourism, the exports, and the people. So it goes without saying that maybe the underlying thing also, Pan-Africanism, should be our bare minimum to how we deal with each other as foreigners, as nationals of Africa. But also, if you look at the digital transformations strategy, it goes on to expand to the aspect of data governance and this, that. If somebody can confiscate your camera and claim you are a security threat, they will be looking for, now speaking, we are a sovereign nation, we know what the AU policy is saying, but the nation was at threat. So it goes back to the discipline and the Pan-Africanism, the underlying soft things that we cannot put you at a policy point, but at a humane point and at a Pan-African value-driven person point to say, is it right what you do? I go back to my position that, my brother, the policies are there. We tick the boxes, but we implement otherwise. That is why when we want to deviate or to slow Agenda 2063 that is supposed to accelerate, we raise up the flag of sovereignty and we feel justified. The bottom line is we are taking step backwards towards the Africa we want. The Africa we want is so well defined. Other continents don't have continental strategies. They envy us, but the enemy is in the detail. The enemy is in the execution at member states level. So data protection, your human rights, they are well articulated. We have human rights court, we have ECOSOC, we even have organs that are specifically to protect you. But deviations happen. And I want to take back to the platform that if we don't solidify execution and occupy our space, acknowledging one positive thing that no one can ignore you on social media. There are people who are hired by political parties to monitor what you guys are saying. And political parties build manifestos departing on what you are saying, because what you are saying matters. So I want to go back to what he said. Magnify your voices, don't underestimate it. You are borderless, and you could be 2063 cannot ignore the numbers that you reach every day. We are going to leverage your potential. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Doug is an activist. He speaks like an activist. In fact, before we came inside, we went there, we were taking the picture, and I said I wanted to say something, and she said, go ahead, say whatever you want to say. You wanted to say something?
Just wanted to add one point, that it's also it's a loss on those countries that are harassing, not protecting those digital creators trying to make content in their city. Today, countries are trying to get digital creators to come to their country and promote their country for them. So it must have to be, you know, lack of awareness, or that person who was harassing you was not even aware about what you are doing and who you are. Other than that, now I think you have noticed that Ethiopia is welcoming to digital creators, especially digital creators from other African countries. And we share your content on our official social media handles, and we ourselves also share it with our friends and others. So it is African countries, they have to tap into this available and very not costly means of promoting their own country and selling themselves to the rest of the world. That's what I wanted to add.
Well, I think that some of these things are just by words, but practically, I think that some people like Gameda should be working in collaboration with the tourism ministry here in Ethiopia, because when I was coming here, when I got to the country, I called Wadimaya because he is an ambassador in Africa. I called Maya, and Maya is like, hey, call your brother. And he gave me his number. And trust me, I got to Ethiopia. I was supposed to be here for like 3-4 days. And I have to extend it to 2 weeks because I couldn't use just 2-3 days to cover what I was seeing here. And he has to use his finances to drive me around the entire city. And some of these things are part of the security we're talking about. We need financial securities and making sure that digital creators are well taken care of. He was there, right? In fact, at some point, I got to my hotel and it's like, your bills has been paid. And I'm like, how? However ways he made it, I don't know. And thanks to wherever it came from and him, but I think that he should be, and many other people who are into this must be recommended, must be worked, hand in hand. And as my brother Brain just said, that when he was coming to Ethiopia, he has to research about Ethiopia, what to do, what not to do, where to go, and all these things. I think we should also integrate some of these people, that you can link up to these people when you land into the country and you are safe, and not just about believing that, oh, Africa, Ethiopia is this. I think, like our mother said, that it should be a cultural thing, that an African should see his fellow African. And when he mentions, I'm a creator, oh, thank you, kudos, go ahead. Do you understand? But then the policies has been, laid, but then the implementations become, we are power from it. But we need legal frameworks to even back these influences. And I'm speaking like this because I have been in jail 25 times. 25. Some of this, sentences, I have to go to a school just to film the structure of the school and where this Agenda 2063 stand to achieve, to project that our leaders do the right thing, and it ended me up in jail. What are some of the strategic, opportunities and room that we are also creating practically, not words, practically, that, okay, fine, if you visit here and there is any problem, call this line, reach out to this email, and you are going to get the right people to stand with you, because majority of us here don't even know where and who to contact when it comes to that.
Let me say, the nature of your work assumes some level of risk. Just that's the nature of your work. I'm not saying that it should assume, but that is the there is a risk in there.
The
Because
price to pay.
as I said, you are speaking truth to power. And the power like child. So you might go back and get arrested for 26, 27. That might happen. But as a framework, as African, our primary objective should be institutional capacity. The government can have a policy that says, okay, don't interfere, don't harass people, don't take their camera. But how much of it is institutionalized all the way down? Sometimes there is one police, he might say, hey, don't record. You might say, oh, the government of Ethiopia is saying don't record. No, that's not the government of the position. That is probably the individual. This could be the case in other countries as well. So that's one. For example, you say, oh, when I went to go to Ethiopia, I had to Google what to do. So Google gives you some narratives. Who really shaped those narratives? You know who shaped those narratives. They tell you, don't go outside this, don't do this, you're going to risk. Those narratives are shaped by others. So that is, they give you out what they took in. And what they took in is the narratives that is designed to make sure that you get scared to go to your African, another country. So what the mayor said, cancel to Dubai, cancel to Paris. But the Google is saying that, oh, you go to Paris, that is better. Because you still Google. So we have to make sure that we also know the information flow, who is shaping it. The other point is, you mentioned about financial security. Our governments must see our creators, our startups. They must support them. They must invest them. You are our information minister, you said, our communicators, our peers, our diplomats. So the payment that you might get from the content that you create might not be enough even for sustenance. So that's why we must have a mechanism whereby we support these critical institutions, startups, so that they can sustain. If not, you know what will happen? Okay, someone might say, okay, I'm going to pay you $2 million, you're going to do this content. Some people might have the character to say, no, I don't take your money, I'm going to work hard and struggle. Others, you know what, I'm going to take this $2 million and I'm going to make you control my content. So it is also for our advantage to make sure that our governments find a mechanism to support us without attaching any strings to that support. Again, I go back to about travelers and the security. Wherever you go, you have to know where you are going. You have to know the laws. This is very much, not only in Africa. Go anywhere. You have to know their laws. Countries have laws. So I don't advise you to say you don't have to know law. It is very important.
I think you need to add something and we close because I've seen a lot of people getting exhausted. I don't know if there are any other questions or add up from the audience. We will take that as well. Just one from here and one from there. Or maybe one woman as well.
Thank you, everyone. I'm glad to have you here, all African continent peoples from around Africa. We are so glad to see you here. I just have to say something for the representative of AU. I don't know if that's the real position, but yeah, this is my chance, so I have to use it. So when I was a kid growing up around African Union here in Addis Ababa, I used to watch leaders, diplomats, and important people walk through the halls. I never imagined that one day I would have also entered in those rooms. Not as a politician, but as a young creative photographer and videographer. One day I got the opportunity to get into the African Union Fashion Week. I was in there. There was a meeting. As a photographer, I had a chance to go there, but at that moment, I had a chance to connect, to speak, and maybe to even to change my future, but I stayed quiet. I let that opportunity pass. Today, I believe this is my second chance. As a children, we all have dreams. Some people are living inside their dreams already, and some are still waiting for the door to open. My dream has always been bigger than myself.
Bro, I'm so sorry. We're running out of time and we want to really make it short. So if you can summarize it in 1 minute, that will be very appreciated.
Yes, it will be 1 minute or less.
Right.
Okay. My dream has been always bigger than myself. I dream of building a stronger youth connection across Africa, a generation of Africa creators, influencers, entrepreneurs, artists, and visionaries who stand together as one. Because when African youth unite, we can create a real change in a real time. But to make that happen, we need support from our government, African leaders, and some corporations. We need African leaders to believe in young people. We need governments to invest in African dreams. We all know Africa have tried many times to rise together, but history has shown us something painful. Many of those people who truly try to change Africa are often attacked, ignored, or silenced. Sometimes by outsiders, sometimes by our own people. But still, we must continue as Ethiopia, as the home of African Union. We carry both responsibility and privilege. Addis Ababa should not only be the political capital of Africa, it should become the cultural home of Africa too. I always imagine this. If someone visits Addis Ababa, they should feel the spirit of the entire continent in one city.
Thank you, brother. This is very insightful, but we need to give opportunities for other creators to also. And I will use this opportunity to propose that I've been to a lot of summits, and when the summit is done, that's it. We need to create a platform where we all creators here are going to be on so that conversations continue. So that you can put some of this script there, then we'll deliberate on it, ponder over it, and we, plan ahead of it as we move forward. Thank you.
Yeah, almost free.
No, that's, thank you, sorry. Sure. Sorry about that, my brother. Sorry. Yeah.
Thank you,
Very
Ralph.
short and precise.
Thank you, Ralph. It would have been very painful if I hadn't asked these questions in front of the leaders from government representatives in AU and private sector. So my name is Tejagma. I'm an Ethiopian social media influencer. Actually, it's my side hustle. We do family social media, but this discussion has been very insightful because I'm a digital transformer by expertise and data. So I want to be very concrete on this one. So the previous panel moderator asked a very critical question. Enough has been said about the power of social media. So I would like to bring this high-level discussion a little bit down to social media. So Africa should be now, it's the right time to campaign Africa-based, this big movement to bring down this media influential thing we want on the ground. So what's the government's strategy specifically, since I'm an Ethiopian influencer, what's the government strategy? Because it's very happy to hear one or two strategies that will help Ethiopian influencers to do more of innovation and good storytelling. What about the African Union? Are they strategizing to have this Africa-based big campaign to bring this event, not a discussion on the air, but a fruitful on the ground? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so I think we'll take from our brother here first as the government official, then we'll move to... Thank you.
If I understand your question is, what is the government strategy when it comes to digital creators? Well, digital creators are the government. What the government can do is, or what the government is doing now is laying the digital infrastructure, creating an enabling environment where the digital creators can work. At the same time, it will be up to the digital creators as to what they wanted to do. Otherwise, they would be employees of Ministry of Communication, you know. But the government is willing and interested to work with digital creators, and it is already working with digital creators on national issues of national concern, including what we are doing in promoting our tourism sector. We work with selected digital creators. We can work with anyone who is interested. We are inviting, even supporting events like this as well. I'm not sure if Gameda is not briefed you well, but there is always going to be, you know, a pitfalls, you know. We are not going to do it perfectly. This is just a start. And I don't think that everything is smooth and we are doing everything perfectly, but there is an initiative and tangible things from the Ethiopian side trying to welcome those digital creators. Even I hope when you came here, you were not left alone, but the government was taking care and showing you around and being hospitable as much as they can. But I'm not saying that is perfect, that's enough, but there should be more needs to be done. You know, it's not more than me. You know, whenever you come to Ethiopia, the Ministry of Communication or Tourism should be one phone, you know, a way for you. You know, you have to be able to access them. They have to be accessible. I accept that. And I think this is the outcome of these kind of sessions as well. It will be a policy input for government. Where they are failing, they will take note and improve. And that's what I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe that the government is going to really put more effort into making sure that the digital space become very solid in terms of networking and everything. Because there are certain spaces you go as a creator and you don't have internet, it becomes very, very, you know, uneasy for you to, you know, cope. So yeah, I think you put that in place as well. And very cheap internet. Very cheap internet. We need that. We need that as digital creators. Yeah, I think our mother will do finally. Yeah, so.
Because you introduced me as a lawyer, so let me come from that side. Yeah? So, because this question, you are very persistent on that question as well. What I would like to say here is that all African governments must make sure that their digital creators feel safe and protected. So this has to be one of their key pillars in their strategy in all aspects. So I think that is what you were very persistent about, protection. So obviously in the context of law, the government has a duty to respect and to protect. And that framework must uphold those two very key principles. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Briefly.
Let me depart from learnings from other engagements, especially with the youth. There was an engagement around the governance ecosystem where I was particularly asked the question that I'm still exploring how to position Agenda 2063 around it. The question was, to what extent are the adults, the minority of the African population open to the diversity, to the youth inclusion, and also to leading the world in terms of the demographic dividend. It is the first time that a continent is populated by the youth. I attempted to answer that, unless as Africa, we get to know that in some things, we don't have a benchmark. We have to lead and comfortably lead and fearlessly lead. There's no one in front of us to benchmark from. We are a benchmark as to How are we exploiting the youthful democratic dividend and reaching them where they are? They are not in the websites. They are not in the cultural Kutla meetings. They are not in our offices as they are unemployed. They are in social media. So my assignment is, how do you reach out to the youth in their comfortable space and make sure they contribute to prosperity, to integration, and to the peace of Africa? Everything that has been said over this day, the practical thing of it is that the second 10 year, we have what we call the domestication guidelines, where we say, member states of Africa, leaders of Africa, you have agreed the Agenda 2063, you have agreed the policies. One example, you agreed Africa Continental Free Trade Area. It has over 50 ratifications. African people travel with their goods, but the free movement of people, we have only 5 ratifications. Domestication means that we are bringing the right consciousness that we cannot close the borders anymore. If we have ratified AFCFTA to say the goods must move, they are not moving digitally, they move with their people, open the borders for people of Africa to move. So it is our assignment to create awareness and to keep creating the consciousness of African leaders that the strategy we've agreed on, it has political will. We are not going to go around the circle saying we are looking for political will. We are looking for implementation. We are looking for resourcing, domestic resource mobilization. Donors have closed their pocket. So this is where we are. And I commit that from the technical point of view, I'm representing the deputy chairperson, but my head is on the block that I'm responsible for delivery of Agenda 2063 at a technical level, and engaging you is a technical assignment, not a political assignment. So I invite comments from my fellow Ethiopians. We are here, I'm with my colleague. You can get our contacts and going forward, continue the conversations. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I think we don't have much time to continue this conversation, and this is where we ended. But conversations continue as we create networks and we continue the conversation. Thank you so much, my panel. Thank you.
All right, with that, we bring the official part of our program to a close. Let's give a warm round of applause to Ralph and our wonderful panelists. As we close, we're going to invite you to have a tour of the Adwa Victory Memorial, and then after the tour, we're going to have dinner together at Gion by the fountain to enjoy the evening breeze of Addis Ababa, and then after that, to extend the night and refresh even more, we're going to have cultural dances and entertainment at Totot's traditional restaurant. Thank you all so much for coming. May God bless Africa and her people. Now enjoy the tour and also enjoy dinner at Gion by the Fountain and cultural performances at Totot. Have a wonderful evening and make sure to post at hashtag Asmis 2026. All right, we'd like to say thank you to our sponsors, our premium sponsors. Thank you to the Addis Ababa State Administration and CBE. They are our premium sponsors. Thank you to our platinum sponsors, Ministry of Tourism, the Office of the Mayor, Ethio Telecom, Addis Ababa Tourism Commission, Dashen Bank, Safaricom Ethiopia, and Ethiopian Airlines. And of course, thank you as well to the wonderful people who have joined us today for the summit. Enjoy your evening, enjoy your afternoon, and thank you.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
The African Social Media Influencer Summit Asmis 2026 is still going on. This important summit has been organized by Pulse of Africa and AGA Tech Enterprise. Both organizations are Pan-African organizations aspiring to be the voice of Africa, and the summit was kicked off yesterday where African social media influencers paid visit to so many iconic places in Ethiopia, such as Ethiopian Artificial Intelligence Institute, Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, Addis Ababa International Convention Center, Sport Park, Arada Park, and many others. And today the summit is still going on. And this morning, speeches were delivered, in particular by the manager of AGA Tech Enterprise and the CEO of Pulse of Africa. Both organizations are the organizations which organized this super important continental summit of African Social Media Influencers Summit. And following their speech were different panel discussions which were focused on different topics. And the first panel discussion was centered on artificial intelligence and content creators and the significance of artificial intelligence for content creators, the downsides and the advantages of artificial intelligence for content creators. Gamachisa Mandida and Noel John, let us discuss on the panel discussion which was conducted this morning, which centered on artificial intelligence and content creators. And we followed the discussion into the very meaningful and productive discussion, I would say, where different panelists from content creator side and from other discipline participated. And there were two sides of argument during the discussion as we watched it. And the first argument was that artificial intelligence is very much helpful for content content creation and for content creators, so we can't afford to ignore artificial intelligence in our day-to-day content creation activities. And the other side of argument was that artificial intelligence is eroding creativity rather, so we need to be depend on our mind for creating authentic contents. So how do you see those arguments? Let me begin with you, Gamit.
Yeah, thank you, Zalalu. They really matter a lot. In both directions, if you go, there is of course a convincing reason to accept each of the arguments. It is true that artificial intelligence supports or boosts the creativity of your production, or your creativity to produce a very good content. That is obvious. We have seen content creators supported by AI have managed to produce materials, contents that really inspire people in a way that is intended by the creators. We have seen that for quite too long. But at the same time, as we know, for instance, if we really rely on AI entirely, then there is danger, there is risk, because by the very nature of artificial intelligence, the data, of course, is taken from what is in the store, okay, in the internet store. And sometimes, of course, people, for some reason, could keep, wrong information, or outdated information could be used by artificial intelligence, and that is very much misleading. And as an individual, as a person, content creators need to be careful. They need to go and then do some research, especially they need to trace, back to data and ensure they are valid. So both directions can work, and the intervention of the creator is very much crucial here. The intervention of the creator ensures that what has been analyzed by artificial intelligence, what has been created by artificial intelligence, is determined, whether to be right or wrong. And I think we need to read, the context in which the AI analysis, the AI creation is checked again, excuse me, against reality. So that's why content creators need to be knowledgeable. Content creators need to update themselves. They cannot rely on what the internet gives them. Well, AI is the other side of the internet. I mean, we find it AI takes data from the internet, from the store, and that is communicated to the system, okay, across the globe instantly. One very good thing about artificial intelligence is that the analytics, allows you to access information quite from the past, or it tells you whether a certain data is, right or wrong, valid or invalid. So it gives you directions as to how you need to do your content creation process. You need to deal with your content creation process. That's important. But as a person, as an expert, as a knowledgeable person, you need to verify that what AI offers is really valid.
Yes, as you said, Gamits, we need to develop our critical thinking analysis skill, and we shouldn't take the information that we get from internet and artificial intelligence for granted. I mean, we need to analyze, and we need to verify the factuality of those informations. Noel, artificial intelligence these days has become part and parcel of our life, and it has been, used by content creators. And as we watched it this morning, one of the panelists was saying, like, even to use artificial intelligence, we need to have knowledge. Those people who do not have knowledge about utilizing and harnessing artificial intelligence can never go into artificial intelligence. I mean, even to use artificial intelligence, we need to have knowledge. How do you see such solid arguments by panelists?
Today has been a very, very great day. It was an interested, panel discussion on the artificial intelligence and content creation. You know, if I can recall back, one of the panelists agreed that he uses artificial intelligence to generate his content, and he's really happy of it. And then the other panel disagree that he is not using artificial intelligence. He used his brain to create his content, to draft his script and all this. But then artificial intelligence helps, you know, in generating, you know, a script, video scripting, and then even identifying, you know, topic of focus, you know, area of focus. And then looking at the other thing they acknowledged was as well the good and the bad side of artificial intelligence. It can be useful and it can be harmful at the same time. You know, it both ways depending on how you use it. You know, you can use it to generate maybe misinformation, false information, misleading information, and you can as well use it for the benefit, you know, of yourself and the community. You know, you can as well like search for, you know, for health information. You can as well check, you know, educational information from AI. And as well, you know, today during the session, they also emphasize on monetization, you know, using AI tools in order to monetize their platforms, which is really indeed great, my brother.
Yes. You know, I had the opportunity to go through the contents created by these African social media influencers. For example, I watched the contents created by Tenge Tenge of Uganda. I watched, for example, contents created by William Last and other content creators. And I found them absolutely entertaining. And we cannot deny the fact that content creation in Africa, creative industry in Africa is really booming. For example, if you see William Last, one of the panelists who was, you know, discussing this morning, you know, he was actually against using artificial intelligence in content creation. You know, William Last is from Botswana, from Southern Africa, and the population of Botswana is like 2.6 million or so, but he has close to 54 million followers. You know, how his activity, I mean, how his content creation is getting a great deal of success. We can also mention other successful content creators, and we can see that content creation in Africa is booming, but those content creators, those African social media influencers are also hosting enormous challenges. Can we enumerate and can we list and can we explain the challenge raised by those content creators?
Yes, William, of course, mentioned very interesting things. He has, you know, followers as many as 20 million, 30 million?
54 million.
54 million.
Yeah.
And he said in most cases, you know, he doesn't get paid for that. I mean, he said, you know, if it was not for other means of livelihood, he wouldn't be able to survive. He wouldn't have survived it at all. Now, there are many other content creators with followers in millions, and still their content are not monetized, and they don't benefit as much as they should, or as much as they deserve, we can say. Now, this is, you know, one big challenge. And earlier, one of the panelists, you know, asked a question about, you know, policy of the outside of Africa. The policy they have, you know, towards Africa. They have, of course, you know, strategies as to how to deal with the discourse of Africa in general. They are, you know, demeaning, yeah? And how about, you know, Africa on the other side? Okay, is Africa, you know, kind of proactive enough to establish, you know, policies that allows it, you know, just to change this negative stereotype against it? Now, when she asked that, of course, the response was that there is not as clearly mentioned policy to resist, to withstand, you know, the negative narrative, of course, perpetuated by those, say, forces outside of Africa. So this is, you know, one big challenge, and as a result, influencers in Africa, for example, in terms of their mobility, do they have every right to move from one African country to another to create, content? And we heard, these influencers, saying that they were kind of imprisoned, for
actually,
some
such
time.
kind of problems and constraints to
Yeah,
digital
constraints.
content creators were raised even during the regulation and frameworks, and we can discuss on this topic later in our discussion.
Okay, yeah, so...
But if we engage Noel
Yeah.
John, to our conversation,
Yes,
even
yes.
yes, there were other challenges apart from monetization.
Yeah, for sure, they really iron out some challenges that they face, mostly in, collaboration with the government. They really ask the governments of African states to really collaborate with the creators to help them, more especially ministries of tourism, to really help them, to look at them as, as ambassadors, not only content creators, because they are the faces of their country, they are the ones showing their country out. And then as well, Gamachusa mentioned the policies and then the borderless. They really want Africa to be borderless for them to move anywhere they want to get the content from. I think this is the few points I can recall from the panel.
Yes, not only challenges, these African social media influencers have also opportunities. I mean, it's going to be up to them to look into the opportunities and to harness those opportunities. For example, Africa is the youngest continent, and they can harness these demographic dividends as well. I mean, by 2050, for example, 1 among 4 people in our planet is going to be African. So Africa is the continent of youth, so they need to use these demographic dividends as well, because the youth population, the youth segment of the society are very much inclined to digital technology, and they are the first consumer of those digital contents. So they can use this demographic advantage as well. And Africa is also a diverse continent, isn't it? For example, if you see Nigeria, the most populous country in the continent, there are more than 500 languages spoken, indigenous languages spoken in Nigeria. If you see the second most populous country, Ethiopia, with a population of more than 120 million, we see that more than 80 indigenous languages are spoken in Ethiopia. And in many African countries we see diversity. Diversity, for example, in terms of culture, diversity in terms of music, diversity in terms of language, diversity in terms of dancing, diversity in terms of many diversities. So if those digital content creators can harness this diversity, they can get ideas, they can get contents from such diversities. And Africa's growth, Africa's economic growth can also be mentioned as one opportunity for digital content creators. If, for example, countries of Africa are growing, that means they can invest, they can put lots of money on digital infrastructures, digital technologies, and so on. And if the people of Africa are getting prosperous, I mean, they can buy gadgets, they can buy laptops and smartphones and so on, and that will help them to get access to digital contents created by digital content creators. So there are also enormous opportunities for African social media influencers. We will continue our discussion later, and now let us have a transition, and when we get back, we're gonna discuss on other panel discussions. There were 2 other panel discussions conducted this afternoon, and the one focused on branding Africa, and the other digital infrastructure and digital governance. We're gonna treat those points, those ideas, but now we are approaching to the news hour, and we have to hand over our studio for the news presenter. And after some transition, the news will be up, and for us, we will return back for other information and other analysis on the panel discussions held this afternoon.
Something powerful is already happening. Over 200 content creators sitting together, aligning, questioning.
Deciding what Africa's digital future should actually look like.
Because this isn't just about content anymore.
It's about direction.
Millions of followers and millions of eyes.
Now moving with shared purpose.
Stories are being shaped with intention.
Narratives are being clarified.
Agendas are being defined.
Because when Africa speaks in fragments,
it gets misunderstood.
But when it moves together,
it becomes undeniable.
What's happening here doesn't stay here. It reaches the world. This is the African Social Media Influencer Summit.
Next to a growing famine unfolding in West Africa. Millions of lives are in danger. According to the United Nations, many of those threatened with starvation.
100 million people by the end of this decade. This is no more acutely being felt than in southern Madagascar.
Somalia could suffer rates of infant death unseen for half a century as warnings of a looming famine intensify.
For decades, Africa has been described from the outside, framed in fragments, distributed through distant lenses. News, documentaries imbalanced, often aligned negatively, bad news over the good ones. What was seen was often partial, filtered through perception, at times reduced, at times misread, rarely complete.
African Union and Intergovernmental Authority on Development election observation missions have praised Djibouti's presidential election.
Libya's National Oil Corporation has announced that total oil revenue collected and transferred to the sovereign account at the Libyan Foreign Bank reached.
The Africa-Europe Museum Partnership Initiative has been officially launched in Addis, Ababa, placing the Great African Museum at the center of efforts to present Africa's rich cultural heritage and history to the world.
Further strengthening security and governance collaboration, the countries concluded MOUs on immigration cooperation.
Algeria and Burkina Faso are strengthening economic cooperation.
Morocco was stepping up efforts to expand internet access.
What once circulated globally did not fully reflect internal realities. What Africa currently is doing is not altering narrative, but starting to voice those same challenges along with own perspective. It's about answering own question with own mic. What was there is in fact there is more to Africa, beside rhetoric of wars, of poverty, of Africa not being digitalized. Research published in 2024 by Africa No Filter and Consultants Africa Practice, analysis in economic measurable terms that Africa could be losing up to $4.2 billion annually in interest payments on its loans, primarily due to stereotypical narratives that dominate global media coverage of the continent.
The actual cost of media stereotypes on the agenda, once you put numbers to it, I mean, $4.2 billion can educate 12 million children on the continent every single year. So there's a substantial cost to it.
Adding to this, on October 18, 2024, a new report program from India, The Vantage, hosted by Palki Sharma, has found that stereotypes created by negative media coverage are costing Africa billions in the form of additional interest payments. The findings put the focus on the strategic importance of narrative building and how it can make or break economies.
Just like anywhere in the world, Africa has good and bad news, but global media tends to focus on the bad. It's always poverty or security crises. And this stereotype has a financial cost, $4.2 billion. That's how much negative coverage is costing Africa.
And now, Africa is beginning to challenge that model, not only ethically, not only authentically, most critically, through skill, through coordination, and through narrative fluidity. That does not erase difference, but moves across it. One continent, a media, a summit that defines rules in a space where rules are dissolving.
Africa's media representation on the international stage. Africa is often portrayed in international media negatively. The endless representation of the continent troubled by civil wars, hunger, corruption, greed, disease and poverty is demeaning and dehumanizing and likely driven by a calculated strategy and agenda. This stereotypical and negative media representation of Africa not only disinforms the rest of the world about our continent, but also shapes the way we see ourselves as Africans. Telling our own stories and shaping our own narratives must be our top priority. In this regard, I would like to propose to this august body the establishment of an African Union Continental Media House.
The media. On October 7, 2025, the proposed media came to reality. Pulse of Africa was officially inaugurated in Addis Ababa, marking a significant step toward redefining how Africa tells its stories by Africans for the world. Africa did not lack digital stories. It lacked control over how those stories moved as a continental one. But the conditions that shaped that imbalance are changing. Now the same digital platforms once used to describe Africa are now being used by Africa to define itself, one as aligned.
We meet at a moment of profound global transition. In this era of uncertainty, Africa's strengths will lie in a union that is confident and united. As we approach the African Union Silver Jubilee, the moment marks a transition from foundational unity to functional sovereignty. Sovereignty means owning our narrative. Through initiatives like Pulse of Africa, we amplify African voices because development is never complete without our story.
A transition from being visible to being self-defined. External interpretations are now being used internally at scale across languages, across regions, and across context. Can influence be institutionalized while still remaining authentic? Africa does not fully control the infrastructure of global digital platforms. Systems still determine what is seen, where it is seen, and how far it travels. In many cases, content is still localized, contained within regions, shaped by algorithmic patterns that do not originate within the continent. But the influence itself has changed. If influence was once about being seen, digitalization transformed it into something else. It became about replication, about how far something travels, how often it is repeated, and how quickly it spreads. Can content created in one African country move across the continent simply without being confined by invisible digital borders? The African Social Media Influencer Summit, Asmis 2026, a deliberate intervention, an attempt to organize something that has until now operated without structure to create impact for a better Africa through creating authentic connection of media and institution, influencers and government stakeholders and private sectors. For the first time, scheduled for May 7 to 8, 2026, the summit places Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa as a strategic platform for amplifying Africa's voice within the global digital space. The city that is icon for Pan-Africanism and the Avenue of Adwa, a place of momentum made for past victory, where history was shown not just rhetoric but also in action, where it placed Africa to be noticed globally. The city that is icon for Pan-Africanism and the Avenue of Adwa, a place of momentum made for past victory, where history was shown not just rhetoric but also in action, where it placed Africa to be noticed globally. Now come the new form of Pan-Africanism, authentic narration, where more than 200 influencers, content creators, policymakers and private sector from across Africa and its diaspora about to open that same narration in own way. Among these influencers, William Lask from the Southern Africa, Zero Brenner Tenge from East Africa, Jovi Amoneki, Brent Jota, Sarah Mason, Nova Smith, Defa Gimba from West Africa, Napi Official from Central Africa, and many other highly influential figures are called for Asmis to come to ground. How? Now this is where the summit familiarizes its major objective. The summit, positioned at the intersection of digital expansion, artificial intelligence acceleration, and highly valuable yet fragmented influences. Individually, each is limited. Together, they form something new, a coordinated architecture of influence. At its core, Asmis is about coordination. Asmis is designed to shape critical conversations around digital innovation, storytelling, and the expanding power of online influence. Introduces hands-on AI workshops where participants engage directly with the tools shaping the future of content, not as passive users, but as informed operators. It creates discussions on digital governance where digital platforms are examined not only as distribution tools, but as systems that shape perception. It establishes spaces where influencers connect with businesses, linking visibility to economic sustainability. And it opens discussions on digital governance, addressing accountability, regulation, and ethical responsibility within a context shaped by African realities. So the reason for connecting such influencers now, convened by Pulse of Africa with the AGA Tech Enterprise, a media positioning Africa globally not as a subject of narrative, but as its author.
Participants are actually expected to talk about or discuss about the importance of AI or the artificial intelligence in terms of shaping or enhancing the quality of digital media production. And apart from that, this participants also expected to create a kind of linkage, a kind of collaboration among each other, because one of our objectives is to create a kind of platforms whereby Africans can link and collaborate each other and then create a kind of partnerships. When you look at the workshops, the first workshop is going to be the AI and innovation. Of course, by now, we can't differentiate AI and at the same time the digital media activity, because AI it's become one of the most important tools in terms of shaping the content creation of this digital personality. So participants will discuss about some of the most important things related to the use of AI and digital influence, and the second one is Pan-African storytelling.
This is not about controlling every message. That is neither possible nor realistic. Digital influence does not operate under centralized control. No single institution, no government, no platform fully determines how narratives move. Across the continent, digital creators operate within fragmented ecosystems. Influence often limited. A creator with significant impact in one country may remain invisible in another. Algorithmic bias, linguistic diversity limited by cross-border visibility. At the same time, untruth global narratives about Africa continue to travel widely, often with greater reach than local voices. And as social media and AI-driven creators gain influence, they can become more powerful than traditional institutions in shaping perception. That reality cannot be reversed, but it can be structured. Asmis intervenes at this exact point, not by increasing content, but by organizing influence, cross-continental connectivity. By bringing creators into one space, it reduces isolation between national ecosystems, enabling collaboration that extends beyond borders. Now, here is where Asmis gets powerful. In amplifying authentic African stories. Africa has never been uniform. It has always understood itself through difference, through language, culture, economy, and experience. Unity was never about sameness. It was about organizing complexity. Digitization is now forcing that question again. Will Africa integrate into external digital patterns, or will it build systems that reflect its own realities? In such wave of innovation world, social media has evolved into a powerful storytelling tool. It is no longer simply a platform for communication. It is an infrastructure for narrative construction, and in that space, African voices are no longer optional. They are necessary, because global perception is no longer shaped only by institutions. It is shaped by individuals, by creators, by networks that move faster than traditional systems. But what has to be realized is speed introduces risk. A single video can reach millions. A single message can reshape perception, and reach in itself is neutral. It amplifies accuracy and distortion altogether. And where attention becomes currency, precision is not always the priority. Engagement rewards speed. Algorithms reward reaction. And in that environment, influence can expand faster than responsibility, which introduces a risk influence that is powerful but not accountable. To be seen is no longer rare. To be heard is no longer enough. But beyond the statement lies a structural ambition to connect influence with intention. Asmis provides a forum to discuss ethical innovation and technology's potential to amplify Africa's narrative, to ensure that reach is not detached from responsibility. and to build a creator ecosystem that is not only visible but sustainable and competitive. And now, with artificial intelligence accelerating content production, altering authorship itself, content no longer requires direct experience. It can be constructed, replicated and scaled without friction. Images that never occurred can circulate as evidence. Voices that never spoke can be heard as authority, which raises a different question. Not who speaks or have access. The question is who defines reality. And in such an environment, authenticity is no longer assumed. It must be established. Ethics, one thing that cannot remain rhetorical. It must function within how content is created, distributed and interpreted. Because when distortion scales, it does not remain isolated. It reshapes perception systematically. Asmis here, again, redefine it. Now, with attempt to control influence, it attempts to align it. Through shared ethical frameworks, through responsibility distribution, through recognition that influence carries consequence. Because if influence continues to expand without accountability, the same tools that enable representation can produce systematic misrepresentation. What is being built is not uniformity. Perspectives will continue to vary, but alignment introduces direction, and direction transforms influence from something reactive into something deliberate. Control over representation, from appearing in narratives to constructing them. One continent, a media, a summit, authentic Africa, authentic narrative through Asmis. Africa's visibility is no longer in question because in an environment where content can be generated endlessly, influence shifts away from those who produce the most toward those who coordinate the accuracy at best. So the question is no longer whether Africa will be seen, it already is. The question is how it will choose to be understood. And now, from this time at scale, Africa is deciding that for itself. The question is how it will choose to be understood. If Africa's digital voice is finally being organized, will it remain authentic as it scales? Will coordination preserve diversity or compress it? Will influence remain grounded in lived reality or drift toward constructed narratives shaped by systems that no one fully controls? The answer is not immediate because this is not an outcome. It is a process shaped by trial, by adjustment, and by negotiation between power and responsibility. But one thing is clear, this is an attempt to organize a force that was never designed to be organized, and that changes the trajectory. The story has just begun. Africa, Pulse of Africa, and Asmis.
History is in the making. Asmis 2026 arrives in Addis Ababa, the capital of Africa, for the very first time. Africa's largest gathering of social media influencers and digital creators lands in Ethiopia's vibrant capital on May the 7th and 8th, 2026. And now we are calling you to experience 2 days of powerful inspiration, bold ideas, and meaningful connections at the iconic Adwa Victory Memorial Museum, which will also be followed by an unforgettable tour of a city like these, rising through a bold transformation. Africa's digital future starts right here.